Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 18 of Exploring Genuine Transformation. My name is Lori Beth, and this show is a show where I interview coaches, healers, thought leaders, therapists, all who are discovering and exploring the leading edge of transformation. And this is a transformation that is about awakening, it's about intimacy with self, it's about having more of you and being able to really delve into the presence and sacredness of this life, as opposed to a transformation that is about, that may be about, merely having what you want in life. Of course, doing this deep, juicy, transformational work, as a byproduct, sometimes we get the things that we have always wanted or things that we are beyond our wildest dreams. And so today I have the great privilege of interviewing Britt Barrett, and so I'm going to have her join now, and then I'll introduce her.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. Are you able to put this on the website?
Oh, yes.
And I'm back.
Okay,
Yeah,
how's that?
perfect. Yeah.
Better? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to introduce Britt, and then I'll hand it over to her. So I've actually known Britt for many, many years, both living in the Bay Area, and I think sort of what I think about the most when I think about you is dancing together in Valerie's class for many, many years, and I think just even watching you dance or being on the dance floor with you really embodies who you are and even what this topic is today. Just being, I just remember over the years, like seeing you occupy so many different kinds of movements and different kinds of states. And, whether you were feeling a lot of like maybe intense emotion or, in a really sort of like bright, happy place, and bringing others along for that fun ride. Yeah, it feels like that memory of you is really a lot about what our topic is today, which is about unboxing yourself to discover true self-worth. And Britt has, as she'll go into, a very unique, I think, a very unique way of how she has discovered kind of in her own journey what self-worth really is and how to support others in doing the same. And so just by like little way of introduction, Britt is a self-love coach, and she combines energy work and breathing and just overall zest for life, in a variety of things that she offers, like painting and cooking and modeling and doing makeup, like all of these different, all of these different
Avenues.
Yeah, thank you. All of these different avenues to really explore the self and really find self-worth in all of those and support others in finding self-worth, in all the work that she does. So I'm going to hand it over to her. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show.
Yeah.
I've been watching a few of your live episodes and always kind of had this like secret desire to be on one. And when you asked me, I was like, oh yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So I guess like I think you wanted me to talk a little bit about my personal
Yeah, we
journey.
can start there. I mean, if you have anything to add to what I said, or it will just come out as we go along. But what
Hmm.
I'd love for our viewers to get is, you know, what is, yeah, telling us a little bit about your personal journey and how it informs the work that you do.
Yeah. So basically, I've always been a really sensitive person ever since I was a child, and both physically and emotionally. And this, like one example, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because when everything, it feels like everything is just enhanced. And like a bad, like one example of how it's a curse is like being on the BART and having someone standing next to me who has a really strong, like bad breath or something. And I feel like for me, it's not just like, oh, this person has bad breath. It like overtakes my existence. And I feel like it's just like that's all I can see is like it's all I can feel is just this like gross. I feel like I'm stuck in this thing. And then the flip side of that is being ultra sensitive and having something really amazing happen, like a jasmine bloom in the summertime. That smell is just so intoxicating to me, and it's like a smellgasm. Like just it's like yeah, it's like everything is on like extrasensory overdrive. Um, and coming from a really large family, it was kind of challenging being so sensitive and not really being able to get my needs met. And this led to, you know, kind of being labeled as like the almost like the identified patient, the problem child, the one with like, you know, special needs, um, and I just kind of felt very alone as a child, and it led to a lot of like anxiety and depression in my teen years, a lot of like rebellious behavior. And I was actually, when I was 16, I was actually suicidal. I did never attempted, but I wrote a letter to my family, and it like my dad found it and had to go to. I went to the ER, and so I've definitely, yeah, it's been. I've I think my sensitivity has like kind of been the leading force that has propelled me into seeking healing, and it kind of all really kicked off when I was. Um, 21, I got ulcerative colitis, and this is a chronic digestive disease that affects your large colon. And I was kind of trying to seek out natural cures since there is no technical, like Western medicine cure. And that's when I found Ayurvedic medicine, which I won't really get into here, but it's a holistic Indian medicine, and that's what kind of propelled me into becoming a like a lifelong seeker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of how everything began, and I've really been like on this path seeking different ways to it really like all of my depression and anxiety and everything stemmed from feeling like I was worthless and I was not lovable. And I feel like through all of this work I've really come to a place where I can accept myself and in a new way, and not just the things that I do that are great and wonderful, but when I mess up,
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, so
Can you,
yeah.
beautiful. Can you say a little bit about when you say, you know, through this work, what is the kind of work that that you have done that has kind of led you to this?
Oh my God. Like so many workshops and so many classes, and so much time spent on the dance floor, like trying to just become myself again and again, trying to like dig deep inside and unearth all of the shadow and figure out like, um, I feel like this motion of like I feel like I keep just peeling layers off the onion and trying to like uncover my heart more and more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, yeah, I'm sure that we'll get into some of the ways that, as we go along, some of the um, some of the different tools and skill sets that you've learned along the way, and now that you're offering to others as we keep going with this interview. So I'd love for you to, the topic is self-worth, and that's a word thrown around these days. And so I would love, by many different people. So I'd love to, if you could give everyone watching your definition of self-worth.
Sure. So I guess for me, it's not about just accepting yourself when you're doing something right, or being a good girl or a good boy, or when you're on, but it's also it's really about radically accepting yourself when you're off too. And like right now, for instance, like I'm feeling a little bit nervous, and I feel like scared that that something I say is going to be off or wrong, or it's going to somehow offend someone, or that that I won't be using my words as succinctly as I'd like to, and I get to like sit with myself there. Like it's like instead of just letting that overtake me, I become aware of that experience of this kind of fear or doubt, and then it's really like about becoming kind of a loving mother to yourself and holding space for all of it. And even just after saying that, I feel a little bit calmer inside.
Beautiful. So I mean, what I'm hearing in that is like overall that self-worth to you is like a radical acceptance of all of you. And then it's about how do you kind of engage with yourself in the moment, whether you're messing up, whether you're making a mistake or you feel like you are, or whether you're, at the top of the world and you're like, wow, I'm doing this so well. It's really about kind of, it's bringing that radical acceptance and love to all of it.
Yeah. And I also think it's like acknowledging what your shadow is and really owning it as well. I think that's really hard I think it's really vulnerable. It's so vulnerable to honor, or to accept, not only accept, but to like honor our shadow. And to also like appreciate ourselves when we do something that's awesome. Like we're having a conversation with someone and we can feel that shadowy side start to come up, or we can feel a lot of anger or fear. And then when we can pause and say, I'm not feeling in my healthy self right now. I need a minute. I just need a minute to like settle down. I need a minute to feel this in my, and whatever that is, maybe you need to like have an anger expression and like punch a pillow, or maybe that it's that you need to like cry, or and so as I'm like learning and growing, I'm trying to let the emotions just flow through and out. Rachel Kaplan, right? So she has this podcast called The Healing Feeling Shit Show, where she talks about how having emotions is just like taking a shit. And we have to do it. It's like part of our natural human system. And so I think that's what, that's like how I would, I think that's the only way to really like, move through, the only way out is through.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I'm imagining when you started to talk about like how looking at your shadow is important, that it's the same kind of thing. Like you have to, it's like the more that you can see your limitations or see the places that you're scared to look at, the more you fully have yourself, but also the more that then whatever comes up, you can actually like, you can be with it in that same way by like really allowing it and allowing yourself essentially to take a shit with it. I think Rachel might be watching the show right now. Hi, Rachel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I saw her at the beginning.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That was not a paid advertisement, by the way.
But watch her show. It's amazing.
It's very good.
So you've kind of answered this, but maybe if you have more to say about what you see as the road to true self-love and also how, how you've supported yourself and also how you support clients on this journey.
Yeah, so I think it's about continuing to learn and continuing to attend classes and workshops and be like really humbled by how much we don't know, how much is still available for us to learn and grow. And I think continuing to open, it's so hard, especially after a big heartbreak or
Mm-hmm.
something tragic happens, to continue to like show up and open your heart to your friends and your family and even to strangers. Sometimes it's good to, as long as you feel that safe, as long as you feel safe to continue to open up. And um, I think surrounding yourself with other people who are doing like the work is really important too, because you can support each other. I mean, no one can do this on their own. We need each other to remind ourselves that this is hard, that being a human is not easy. And and like and I think inspiring I guess just like being inspired by your own growth and being inspired by seeing other people's growth, like allowing yourself to really to say like, oh wow, I was really scared to go on a Facebook Live because I was afraid I was going to mess up, but I did it anyways. And it's almost like I see myself as this like this 3-year-old. I'm going to get emotional, but like I think like as this like 3-year-old little girl, like standing there in my like underwear, wearing a cape with my hands on my hips, being like, I can do it. Like, and I think like just continuing to like stand up and try even when it's so hard. It's like that willingness to keep opening and keep like being like forgiving with yourself when you mess up. It's so hard to do that, but yeah.
I'm moved to ask you like what touches you about what you're sharing right now.
I think just I'm kind of touched um, by my resilience, I guess, by all of our resilience. But
Yeah.
in this moment, I'm touched by my own,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like I've been through some really hard things, and I just keep like I have this vision of like I just keep like coming back, and it's like it's I think it's just what makes us human. And I think it's really beautiful that we keep standing up when we fall down.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm imagining also, like, at least for you, I mean, for maybe for some people it was younger than 3, or maybe some people never had that period, but, being that 3-year-old that's like, I can just do anything, and, sort of trying everything, failing, trying again,
Yeah.
that sort of child spirit coming through.
Yeah.
And the beauty of being able, like, in spite of what we've all been through in our lives, as we, as life goes on and many hard, challenging things happen, as well as joyful things, that bringing back that kind of childlike nature of like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to try these different things, or okay, like part of self-worth is that it's like, oh, I failed. Okay, I can acknowledge that, and actually I don't need to make it a big deal. I can just get up again and, try this other thing. And yeah, so that it seems like that's what I was really hearing you kind of speak to there.
Yeah. I mean, I can talk about, my work in the world. I've been an entrepreneur ever since I graduated from college, and I've, taught preschool. I had a jewelry business at one point where I designed and sold like feather jewelry when it was, like the boom of the peak of the Burning Man explosion. And I've, an Ayurvedic practitioner. I've studied breath work. I'm a makeup artist. I'm a model. Like I do all of these different things. And I've really struggled. One of the things I've really struggled with is like how I show up to or how other people perceive me. because that was really big in my family was, you know, like which one are you? Like, oh, she's the smart one and she's the,
Mhm.
you know, the good writer and she's the this. And I always felt like I kind of was like lost in the shadows.
Okay.
And the only thing I was really acknowledged for was for being beautiful. And that was sounds like, oh, how lucky for you. But actually, there's a shadow side to that, which is that like the other parts of you get like the parts of you that actually matter kind of get lost. And so it's been like it's been a journey to try and like keep on I'm doing all these different things and yet like I'm there's something that runs through each one of these things that I'm doing that is this theme of like self-work. So whether I'm like doing someone's makeup before their wedding and, you know, helping them feel like the most beautiful version of themselves, and
Mhm.
or whether I'm, you know, and then the mother of the bride is so self-conscious and I'm, you know, helping her just like own where she is, like her daughter's getting married and this is her, you know. And so I feel like whether it's that or whether it's you know, doing one-on-one work with people and just using my intuition to hold space for them to do the work.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess I kind of lost my train of thought. Maybe you can bring me back in.
Yeah. Well, so one thing, because I rarely look at the comments while we're on the show, but I'm appreciating. Thank you, Emily Oram, for your comments. She said, "So painful. My worth is my beauty. I'm so glad women are speaking up about this,
Mm,
and I'm so happy women who are pretty are talking about this vulnerably, because." And I think thank you for speaking to that, and that's one thing I have also seen in you, Britt, over these months, and like just posting about, you know, about like, okay, well, is my, even like my body, this is the size of my body, like it doesn't fit the model, whatever the model thing, or like this is my beauty, and yet it has caused so much pain for you, like because
and
then
pain for
that's
other
how,
people.
because then that's how you're seen, right? And there's all, really, you want to be seen in your depths, you want to be seen for all of you. That is part of self-worth, like
Yeah.
that you internalize, like I'm me and I'm everything and I'm all of these things and I'm not just this like surface, you know, I'm not just what I look like on the surface. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So many things I want to say about this topic. And I think, yeah, beauty causes a lot of pain, actually. And, you know, I can't even tell you the amount of times when, and even just saying this, it's like, it feels like such a privileged thing, right? So it's like, how do I talk
Mm-hmm.
about this and not have people be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like, cool. And I haven't even really, um, I've never actually brought it up in this format before. So thank you, Emily,
Yeah.
for kind of encouraging the conversation. And I guess like you have to take a risk sometimes. And so yeah, it's like how many times have I been a threat to someone, to one of my close friends because their partner has been attracted to me a lot. And like that's something that like I've had to like temper my like I've had to temper the way that I am, like my bright, I've had to like dim my light at times because I don't want to be so bright and so big that I suck up all the energy in the room or take all the men's attention and then create some kind of rifts between me and the women that I love. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's you get labeled really easily as being dumb or being a slut, or you know, there's lots of different things that come along with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also like gained 5 to 10 pounds over the past 7 years that I've been modeling, and I'm doing now like campaigns for body positivity. I'm not doing like, you know, I'm the um like poster child for this influencer, like, you know, I'm like, this is my body, I have cellulite, I have curves, and I feel really good about that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also hard because now, like, you know, that's the role that I'm taking when, so there's a lot there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel, I don't see anything besides your face right now, so I don't know if people are commenting or what's
Yeah,
happening,
Emily's
but
been
I'm just,
commenting some, just appreciating the conversation, and I don't think I'm going to go through all of it. The last one she
yeah.
said is yes to, you can read them after, yes to body positivity. I love that, embracing all forms. And she
Mm,
shared a little bit about her experience growing up and being a
mm,
threat, or her mom or stepmom being jealous of her.
mm.
I actually can't see the comment. Um,
Oh,
but uh, yeah, I think that this is an extremely important conversation, and it obviously like really relates to this topic of unboxing yourself, like that you aren't what you look like, and yet there's also, meaning you aren't solely how you look, and that there's also like I can imagine, right? Like it feels scary to talk about it because it's seen as a privilege, and yet there's the shadow side of that privilege, right? And all that it kind of fuels in terms of competition amongst women, and even, you didn't name this, but I know I've had friends over the years who felt like since they were young they were the pretty one, and then it's like it's also related to how they have been in relationships with men, and men choosing them, and them choosing, but not, they didn't really
yes.
feel like they wanted to be in those relationships, but because that part of them got conditioned so young, that was like, oh, this means that I'm worthy. I mean, this is how it goes back to self-worth. But true worthiness, true to this topic, I think in what we're talking about is that you get to be all of you, and you get to, it's about letting go of those masks or those identifications and conditioning that we all receive.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, how can I like just own, like, I keep coming back to, like, I'm just like, I don't want to be, and we've talked about this a few times, like, I don't want to be like a goddess or a high priest. I don't want to like, I just want to be me. I just want to like, and when I think about me, I think about like this 8-year-old explorer who's like out in the world and loves nature and like really loves to eat delicious food and has like fun times with their friends doing like exploring. And I just like, I want to live from there. I want to live from a place of like, um, just raw authenticity and being like 100% honest with what's happening in this moment. And yeah, and just having really true good people around me that I feel safe around. I want to feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to help other people to feel safe. And I think that's what I'm trying to do in my work. And I want to help other women, specifically women and men, but women
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
more so. I guess it just who tends to work with me on a regular basis. Just like own their 8-year-old selves more, like coming back to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're wise women, and all the things. But I think that's where we kind of get stuck the most, is thinking that we have to be perfect or that we have to have it all figured out. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and then also I'm remembering, something that you said when we met before the show, which is like um, being able to. We're also sort of, as we get older, expected to be like, okay, this is the thing that you do. You're a
oh,
coach, or you're this, or you're that, and I think one of the things that has drawn me to kind of seeing you in the world is just the range of things that you do, and then the energy and kind of like vitality that you bring to that, and that you can, like, what you're sharing, that you, in every single work thing that you do, you're not only, you're bringing people into contact with like different hobbies that they love, and like different parts of themselves, right? But that's like, some of those are active, like painting or cooking, or being in connection with other people. And then you're also supporting them to really explore all sides of themselves and be all sides of themselves, and all of their internal parts. So I think there's a
yeah,
beautiful kind of merging that happens in the work that you're doing around that, because it's sort of like encompassing all of life. And I do see it as getting to be your inner 8-year-old, you know, with all the
Yeah.
emotions that you have, and also all the like, oh my God, I want to try this and I want to do this, and you know, what's next? That kind of you know, jubilance and excitement. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just the permission that like all we have to be is just who we are. Like that's all we really, that's all we just get to like, you just get to be Lori.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like, yes, you're a therapist and you're a coach and you're leading, you know, these seminars and you're, you know, doing all this beautiful work in the world. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to it, like
Mm-hmm.
you're just, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just, you are like
Mm-hmm.
so uniquely and beautifully you. And what works for you is not going to work for everyone.
Yeah.
And so, how do you find those things that work for you, whether it's like in your morning practice or what you eat for dinner or what, you know, what kind of people you surround yourself by? Like, do you need people who are going to like pick you up out of the hole? Or do you need
Mm-hmm.
people who are going to be like, girl, you need to just lay down. I'm going to rub your feet for a minute. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, and, um, yeah, I think that's where the Ayurvedic, you know, 3 years of Ayurveda really come in. It's like so much of Ayurveda is about looking at how the elements can work for us in our lives and how they can impact us in really powerful ways when we attune to like their qualities. And for instance, like if you're really like jittery, you know, have a lot of jittery energy and you need some grounding, like having like a warm soup or stew is going to help to like really calm you
Mm-hmm.
down. Or
Mm-hmm.
whether you're feeling like really stagnant, like you need to go like get outside and take yourself on a walk so that you can like move your energy. Remember that there are birds chirping and plants growing and life is still happening, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and I really love the last part of what you said because I'm remembering it from the conversation we had before, which is like, and I think I wrote this on the write up, that, you know, you're speaking to like knowing ourselves more deeply, right? So like Ayurveda supports that, but also I think the whole body of work that you're doing is like, who are you and what do you love and what lights you up, and, you know, or what do you need in order to, you know, like, what do you need for self-care? What do you need for the body? Like, what kind of healing do you need? You know, so it's
yeah,
this, it goes back to even the theme, which is unboxing yourself to discover self-worth. It's like, how do you unbox yourself from all
yes,
the conditioning and the ideas about like that? And there's so many out there, right? You know, and then we sort
yeah,
of can learn, oh, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this. This is what's going to bring that kind of relief and freedom. But I think what I'm getting out of this conversation is that, and with the work that you do, it's like, okay, well, what if that could just be like this fun, adventurous process, you know,
yes.
that you're like, oh, this works, or oh, this doesn't work, you know, or this feels good, this doesn't feel good. And it like, it can just be play, you know?
Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, exactly. And I think that's why I kind of have stepped away. I love Ayurveda. I respect it. I think it's beautiful. And that's why I've stepped away from the dogmatic practice of it because sometimes like we get so rigid and so stuck in our belief system that we're like, "Oh, I'm Vata, so I should never eat popcorn. I should do all these 8 things." And but really it's like maybe in that moment you just like really need to, you know, eat a piece of pizza because it's from your favorite childhood pizza place and it makes, and you can dip it in ranch. And like maybe you go to the salad bar and you get like lettuce with, you know what I mean? Like you get lettuce from it, but you know what I mean? Like maybe you go to like the Mountain Mike salad bar because you just need that kind of a
Yeah.
like blue cheese dressing or whatever it is. Like um, yeah, I think that that's really like what I am a big fan of people doing is to like listen to their inner innate wisdom and to follow that.
Yeah.
And so it's not and that goes for the opposite too. Like if you go on a date and you have this feeling like in the pit of your stomach, like, ooh, this just something about this just doesn't feel right. Like listen to that because
Mm-hmm.
your inner child probably isn't feeling safe and that's a good, you know, thing
Mm-hmm.
to follow through with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
beautiful. That feels like a good place to end. I would love for you to share, um, I mean, you have shared some tips, but if you have one or two tips that you just want to leave people with that they can kind of try at home, to begin to embody more of, this fullness of who they are in the name of self-worth.
Sure. I think I'll leave you with one, which is like,
Mhm.
this is kind of an emergency situation. If you're feeling anxious or stressed or you're having a hard time, hold your own hand.
Mm.
It's like, imagine that like there's like a mama hand and a baby hand, and you're like, I got you. Like just the act, no one has to know that you're doing it, but it's this little like
Mm.
thing that you can do, and you can actually feel like, as I'm doing this, I'm feeling like, what does it feel like to hold? Oh, my hand's kind of little, and like,
Mm.
oh, it's like that's a sweet hand, and like
Mm.
and then also like, oh, I got you. So you're kind of feeling held and
Mm.
like the holder at the same
Mm.
time.
Mm. Beautiful. I love that so much. I love also that I know so many different like ways of regulating the nervous system or being a parent to ourselves, and I didn't know that one. So I love just that there's a million out there and this is another example of like what works for you, what feels good, like what helps you, and really finding your own way within that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that you invited me to come on, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope this was helpful for whoever's watching in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form.
Yeah, I think yeah. Well, I
We'll see.
we'll see. I mean, I think it was a really beautiful conversation and a very,
Thank you.
I think, a powerful way to look at self-worth. Um, and also, I really appreciate your vulnerability,
Mm,
on the show, and really allowing yourself. I think you showed what you've been talking about, which is just really allowing yourself to be exactly where you are and be vulnerable. Cry when you were feeling moved, and
mm,
talk about what it's been like to be a beautiful woman and what that could bring up.
mm.
So thank you again.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'd love for people to know how to be in touch with you or how to follow you. Can you let people know?
Sure. So, as you know, I have multiple things that I do. So my Instagram is a great way to stay in touch. It's just Britt, Britt underscore Barrett, Barrett.
Mhm.
And then I also have a daily Ayurveda Instagram. You can look that up as well if you're interested in like recipes and things like that. Um, I do one-on-one coaching, and usually breath work is included in that if that's something you're interested in. That's a more recent certification, and it's so amazing what can be moved just
Mm.
through the breath.
Mm.
And then also I host once a month at my house. I host intuitive painting night, and so if you just go to my Facebook page, you can see all those things.
Yeah.
And then I also do like corporate events
Mhm.
um, for intuitive painting as well. And so if anyone's interested in like bringing some fun and creative energy into their business, I'm happy to come in. I have all the materials, and we do like a guided meditation. And so it's a way to bring more mindfulness and connection into the workplace too.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, once again, my name is Lori Beth, and I am a psychotherapist and a healer and a somatic healer and a coach. And I have two different programs going on right now. Um, I do trauma healing containers with chronic relational trauma and also just incidental traumas. And that work is very somatic, and it's kind of like combining all the leading edge um, trauma trauma modalities that are out there. I have my own way of doing it, and that is for men and women. And then I also do I do a combination of somatic healing and uh, we really get to core wounds as well, um, and as well as trauma work, as well as a lot of embodiment and empowerment work, and that work is with women And I call that, those are longer mentorship that I do. It's a healing mentorship. And I call that work Awakening Soul Power Through the Darkness, because it's really about reclaiming our power, our true power as women, by learning to face the darkness and the shadows, as well as the light and the radiance that we are. So if you're interested in either of those, you can reach out to me, and otherwise I will see you next week. So thank you again, Britt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye.